gathering here, I would say, because we were talking about professional development. NEP is talking about CPD, continuous professional development, and as such, we are also looking into our development as the faculty in the school. So, the moment we came to know about our guest today, I thought this was the only occasion, and it would be the right occasion that we have her with us, so that we move forward into our training journey. To give a just on welcome Mrs. Meenakshi ma'am, welcome Brigadier sir and all the teachers. To move on to give you, I think most of you are familiar with ma'am, but at least for the others who are new here, a small write-up of Mrs. Meenakshi. She's been in the field of education for the past 38 years. Mrs. Meenakshi had the opportunity to assume various roles and responsibilities as academic supervisor, principal, and correspondent of schools, catering to the first generation learner. That is where I thought that we can relate to most of her experience. We would be able to relate. She had been in the as an examination officer for international examination and convener for local board examination. Presently, she is the director, curriculum R&D and program leader of Cambridge International Certification and Diploma for Teaching and Learning, and director of V-Skill, Center for Professional Development of Wales Group of School, Chennai. Her exposure to both Indian and international curriculum has brought a shift in her perception of how international system can be tailor-made to the need of children in Indian context. She derives immense pleasure in conducting teacher training workshops, symposia, and other aspects of team learning. She believes that reflection of one's own practice will bring in the change in the individual to work with deep sense of choice, commitment, confidence, and compassion. Her varied interest in art, theatre, singing, and dancing made it possible for her to travel countries like Argentina, Brazil, Mauritius, Egypt, Australia, and London as a representative of India with an aim of exchanging cultural and traditional value. So let us put our hands together to welcome ma'am. Let us look forward to carry something forward from stalwarts like this in our fraternity. So I think we belong to a group where we say, may our tribe increase is what we keep thinking of. So we look here to learn from you now. Thank you.
Love you all. A very happy afternoon, and thanks to Brigadier Subi as I know him. And sometimes people come in our way for some purpose. I strongly believe in that. During this journey of our existence as human beings, we come across people and we meet people. And there is a purpose, there is an intention behind, and sometimes we are able to see that evidently, and sometimes we fail to notice that. So I'm very thankful for the meeting that happened with the Brigadier Subi, and this has brought me here today to see. I'm in a teaching fraternity, I always get enthusiastic. That automatically fills it. There is so much to share, there is so much to learn, and there is so much to unlearn, and there is so much to relearn, and there is so much to be excited about the journey for which we are all committed to. Right? So by chance or by force, as we all keep listening, we have entered into this profession. How committed should I be then? How responsible should I be then? How confident should I be then? How innovative I should be then? How creative I should be then? How responsible I should be then? How reflective I should be then? I love this term, reflection. I want myself to be addressed as a reflective practitioner, not only in the teaching fraternity or as a teacher, but then as an individual, I need to reflect at the end of the day as to what was it that I did, how better was my day, and how good my day is going to be. Being grateful to the Almighty, thanking the Almighty for giving me this excellent opportunity. I think we have to have some purpose and objective of meeting and talking and sharing, right? So probably I'll also have an open session where you can ask questions, and I want to make it as casual as possible, but a little structured also. I always used to tell my teachers, there should be, when you take them to the playground, it should have a combination of both the structured play and the unstructured play. To instill little discipline, but at the same time, I should allow them to explore. So keeping this in mind, and with the Teachers' Day around the corner, I'm reminded of Mahatriya's very inspiring story. Many of you would have listened to this, but then every time the Teachers' Day around the corner, I make it a point to reiterate to myself as to what my role is all about as a teacher. I said, love you all today when I entered. The story goes like this, the one that is narrated by Mahatriya. He says, be a mom at school. And this story goes like this. Those who already know, please bear with me. Just enjoy listening to the story, and those who are little not familiar can cherish this story, and please do remember this and share with others. And sometimes we have to say, no, this is the way I have to be today. Okay. So Saturday goes, Sunday goes, and then the Monday comes. And when Monday comes, the teacher, Mrs. Thompson, she walks into the classroom and she says, love you all. That's why I started with the statement, because I had already said, no, I will say this story today. Come what may. Love you all. But she knew that she was lying. Why? Because there was a boy in the class who was very unkept, he was messed up, and he never kept up, and he never looked so tidy, and for anything, there was nothing that attracted this teacher, Mrs. Thompson. For any negative reinforcement, Mrs. Thompson would refer only to this little boy who was called Mr. Teddy. For any positive reinforcement, any positive references, he gets ignored by the teacher. So comes the end of the midterm, when we all write the report cards, when we write the progress report cards, and you all know you write a little remark about the child. As you all know, progress report is supposed to be telling about an incremental progress of the child. There should be some progress, no? Otherwise, why do you call it a progress? Just to say your child has always been scoring 30, why do you call a parent? Right? So she goes and submits it to the headmistress. And as the headmistress or the vice principal, we all have the habit of looking into the remarks. So the headmistress says, and she says, there is nothing very progressive written about this child. So she calls Mrs. Thompson and she says, Mrs. Thompson, how do you think I'm going to face the parent? And there is no remark of any progression shown by the child. And if the parent looks at it, he is going to be so upset. There is no life ahead for this boy. So Mrs. Thompson says, I don't find anything good to be written about him, ma'am. So then she gets back. After some time, the headmistress, she calls in the admin staff and she says, bring in the earlier school records of this boy, Teddy. So she gets those of the earlier grades and she says, you go and hand it over to Mrs. Thompson. Mrs. Thompson looks at the report cards of the earlier years with the remarks of the child. She starts with the grade 3 report card and it says, one of the brightest child in the class, says the annual remark. Then comes the grade 4 report card. The child, though is very bright, performs very well, I think something is upsetting him, probably because his mother has taken to an illness, the terminal cancer, which is making him not paying so much attention to his studies. Then the grade 5 report card says the child has gone down so much, I think along with his mother, if you are not going to catch this child now, we are going to lose this child also along with his mother, was the remark written. And tears rolled down the eyes of Mrs. Thompson. She closes everything. Again the Monday comes, so she goes into the class and she says, "Love you all." And this time again she is lying, because now her love for this boy is much more than what she has for others in the class. Again she is lying. Now, for any positive references, Thompson would refer only to Teddy, only to Teddy, only to Teddy. Now she feels, then comes the end of the academic year when children all say, "It's the last day, ma'am, we'll give you some gift," right? So the small gift is being given by every child in the class. And this teacher knows, as she opens up all the gifts, and there is a small tiny gift in a newspaper, wrapped up in a newspaper, and the teacher's intuition says this should be of Teddy's. And all the other children laugh out. They burst out in laughter when she opens that, and she finds half-used perfume bottle and a bracelet from where many of the precious stones have fallen. Immediately, she takes out that perfume bottle and she sprayed it on her body, and she wears the bracelet, and with a quarter smile from Teddy, she says, "Now I am smelling my mother as she was before her death." And this moves her so much. Then year after year there would be a letter on her table, and that would say, "Teachers come, I have met many teachers, but Mrs. Thompson, you are still the best." And years go by, and then there is a retirement age for Mrs. Thompson. She retires and Teddy is gone somewhere. They lose the contact. And after many years, when this Thompson is little, elderly, around 75, 80, one day a small envelope slides from under the door, and she takes it out, and it says, "To Mrs. Thompson from Dr. Theodore." And she opens it. "Dr. Theodore?" She opens that and she finds a small letter. "I have met so many people in my life, but still, Mrs. Thompson, you are the best." See, now the version changes. Now it is no longer the teacher. It is people in life. So along with that, there is a to and fro, air ticket kept, and an invite, a wedding invite. He says, "I am getting married on such and such a date. I have kept a to and fro ticket for you to be traveling, and I cannot imagine to get married without my mother being present, or without a person who is next to my mother." And she somehow makes it to the wedding, and it's in a church, and she is like, she doesn't want to be noticed, and she sits at the back. But then the volunteers somehow, they recognize her, and she's ushered to the seat in the front. And then Theodore looks at her and he walks down from the dais, and then he says, "Come on, Mrs. Thompson, this is your seat." And on the seat there is a placard written "Mother." And Mrs. Thompson, and she just cannot control her tears. And he says, "How can I ever imagine to get married without the person who is next to my mother? Please, you may occupy this seat." And the wedding gets over, and then from the dais, he comes and introduces Mrs. Thompson to the newly wedded bride, and he says, "But for her, I would not have been standing here next to you as Dr. Theodore." And then Mrs. Thompson says, "But for Teddy, I would not have realized that I should be first a parent in the classroom, then the teacher." This is the kind of conversation that goes, and this is how we as teachers should feel the role of parents that takes over the role of a teacher in the class. Once you set this connect, the bond, then they will be at the back of you. So it's a very inspiring thought that we need to be reiterating, and I think if we understand our role as a parent in a classroom, then comes the role of the teacher. Everything becomes very enjoyable. You become enthusiastic. Children start loving attending your classes. They have an inclination to come to your class. And what else you want? You should have the interest to come and sit in somebody's class. Now, how many of you want me to continue this session? Tell me very frankly. Very frankly, I don't want half-risen hands. Come on, wake up now. Wake up. Same situation prevails even in a classroom. Imagine them all sitting through 40 minutes, all the teachers walking and saying, do this, do that, ha, ha, who. Is it what we have to be doing? Leave alone setting up a bond. We as teachers, what are we supposed to do? Am I clear? Am I confident? Do I know what I need to be doing? Please put these questions in your mind as you walk up into a classroom. Of course, we are all human beings. At the end of the day, you get tired, the mind gets fatigued. You are not the same person as you were in the first period. All this happens. But then when do we even ever say, come on children, I am not in the mood to take a class today. What do we do? Have you ever told this to the children? Yeah, there goes one hand. I am very happy. So happy to see that you give the freedom to the children to decide sometimes on what they need to learn. We have to take them into our stride. You start involving them in everything, then the class becomes very interesting. For that to happen, I need to be very confident as a teacher. They should be able to listen to me to begin with. I need to be confident in what I am talking, confident in the content that I am saying, confident in telling me, come on, there is a mistake happened by me. I should be able to say, yes, I have committed, I have made some mistake, come on, will you be able to correct this? How many of us have that confidence to even admit the mistakes that we make? These are the attributes, some of the very common basic attributes. I need to be confident so that I can instill that confidence in my child who is entrusted to me. If I am not confident, 2 should come here, 4 should come there. Let me just check. What did you ask? Let me just. If I am going to be doing like this, the child will very well know that yes, the teacher is not confident. I have to really be updating my knowledge, giving them an opportunity to know beyond what is given in the textbook. At the same time, you should allow the children to create such opportunities for you to be doing some research. That is called creativity to some extent. Creating new ideas is creativity. What did you all eat today for the lunch? What did you all eat today? Tell me. Any one of you tell me. So all of you enjoyed your lunch. In some way, what you had eaten would have been different from what you make otherwise at home. Do you agree? Then why is it that something made by somebody else is tasting better? What has made that more interesting? For them it is a job. They cook and they serve. For them it is a monotony, right? But then what is it that extra ingredient you feel has made you say, oh, this laddu is so delicious. This sambar is so delicious.
Because we are not preparing something.
But leave alone, you are not making. Some extra input has gone into that to make it more interesting and fascinating than what you make at home. I'm just giving you a small reference with sambar. So also as a teacher, if I were to make that more interesting than X or Y, I need to add that flavor. I need to add that aroma. கொஞ்சம் நான் போடணும் அதுல. மேத்ஸ் தான் சொல்லி தரேன் 2+2 தான். ஆனா அந்த டீச்சர் சொல்லி கொடுத்தா மாத்திரம் ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்கு. ஏன்? அதே சாம்பார் தான். நீ பண்ண சாம்பார் ஆமா. இதே 2+2 தான். But I want to go and sit in that class. அப்பா அந்த டீச்சர் even you would have listened to from parents stating that maths teacher was superb. Is she continuing this next academic year also? ஏன் கேட்கணும் அதை. அடுத்த வருஷம் they will come first termல, ma'am, my child has lost interest in maths, ma'am. You either bring that teacher to this class or you change my son to some other class where there is a better teacher. There is a chapa given to the teacher. All this happens because somewhere everyone is unique as teachers. I cannot expect all the teachers to be doing the same thing, but there can be an attempt, there can be a choice, there can be little responsibility from within for me to be attempting at doing something new. Dress பண்ணிக்கிறோம்ல எல்லாம் இன்னைக்கு வேற மாதிரி பண்ணிக்கலாம், இன்னைக்கு இந்த ஹேர் ஸ்டைல் இங்க பண்ணலாம். I'm just coming to one more point. Why did we think that sambar was good? Why did I say that laddu was good? Why do I say that teacher teaches so well? And கேட்டா மாத்திரம் அப்படியே பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கோமே. Why do we do that? Because there is some extra flavor which as an observer I should be able to observe. I should be able to implement that to an extent in my classroom. I should be able to try out new things in my class. That is the leading point of doing something called creativity in a classroom. Need not be finding out something very big like Einstein Darwin theory மாதிரி கண்டுபிடிக்கணும்னே இல்லை. It can be small little creativity. I always used to tell my teacher, build in surprises as you walk into the classroom. That is creativity. As I am framing up new thoughts and ideas in my mind, I am becoming creative. எல்லாரும் ஒத்துப்பீங்க, நீங்கள் கிரியேட்டிவாக தான் இருக்கீங்க. இந்த செஷன் வந்து யூஸ்ஃபுல்லாக இருக்கா இல்லையாவுக்கு ஒரு ஜஸ்டிஃபிகேஷன், அதுக்கு ஒரு பர்செப்ஷன் இருக்கு. ஸோ ஆல் ஆஃப் யூ ஆர் நவ் கிரியேட்டிங் யுவர் தாட் ப்ராசஸஸ் பில்டிங் ஆன் த ஏர்லியர் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங் தட் யூ ஹவ் ஹேட், ரைட்? அண்ட் யூ கம் டு அ கன்க்ளூஷன், யூ இவாலுவேட் அண்ட் தென் யூ சே, ஓ இது நல்ல பாயிண்டாக தான் இருக்கு, இது நல்லா இல்லை. Doesn't matter, you have to evaluate. For me one could be very fascinating, for you it may not be so fascinating. That is where the differences come. That is where the uniqueness come. அப்படிதான் இருக்கணும் நம்மளாம், அவ்வளோ யூனிக்காக இருக்கணும் நம்ம. Identity, create an identity for yourself as a teacher. Like how Thompson created, you create an identity. You may not be a subject expert, but then that love, that affection as a teacher, that we have to earn that. I cannot say, hey, good morning, Jalla. Earn that respect. So allow that little creativity to flow in as a teacher. They should be filled with surprises and sitting in awe when you enter the classroom. I used to tell even while taking the attendance, don't just mark by calling out the names. You have to make an eye contact. If you a topic, I have not come to the topic. I am just making it very generic, okay? I am just saying what creativity is all about. It need not be in a subject. It need not be like a Darwin's theory. It need not be like a Rahman new music composition. No. It need not be like a sculptor. It need not be like an artist. No. It can be as simple as changing my thought and walking into the class, like how you try out your new dresses and creating beautiful faces of yourselves. You say, this hairstyle is little nice. I am little creative in doing it. That is creativity. But as a teacher, what can I do? I am just trying to relate. Walk into the class, pick up the attendance register. Now today I am going to have some adjectives used to call my students in the class. The very beautiful yellow angel of this classroom. Yellow angel of this hall. எனக்கு பேர் தெரியல. Yellow angel எவ்வளோ இருக்கீங்க இங்க? Yellow angel 2 பேர் கண்ணுக்கு தெரியுது எனக்கு. So you use such adjectives and that is a quality building. You have observed the child, you are relating the quality to the child and you are calling out with a beautiful quality, you build the self-esteem. வேற என்னமா வேணும்? எல்லாருக்கும் கொஞ்சம் செல்ஃப் எஸ்டீம் வேணும். அந்த செல்ஃப் எஸ்டீமை நம்ம மற்றவங்க சொல்லி தரணும், இல்லை we should be able to do it ourselves. Never ever lose out your self-esteem as a teacher. Have that pride in you. Walk into the class with that surprises, with that little adjective, and look at their faces, the eye contact. There can be so many ways to call out, and sometimes you can just knock in and come. Don't just walk into the class. Knock பண்ணிட்டு வா, ஏதோ நினச்சிக்கோ, அப்புறம் பார்த்தா, can I come in? How you teach the children, get permission and come. A சின்ன value, I'm teaching a very small value. I'm just knocking at the door, may I come in? It's a voice modulation. I don't have to have a separate dramatization class. The child knows, oh, what teacher knows how to dramatize. Next time the child will start imitating. Anything is like that. Observe the small children. They imitate you and learn. We also imitate. If I am identity standing here, the influence of many people who I have observed, Many people's thought processes have gone into my identity. I am trying to imbibe those. I am trying to put forth the views. Nothing is my own idea. Everything is everybody's. Please remember, even Kambanoda verses you can say and call it yours. Pick up 2 words. Words belongs to everybody. I cannot say this word belongs only to me. No. Use it the way you want to. The little surprises that you bring in. Creativity in acknowledging the right answers the children give. That again stimulates your brain and say, I'm going to be a little creative in giving the appreciation. How can we give? How can we give that little appreciation in a different way? Can somebody say? Hmm? On time? Motivating them by giving stars. Any other way? High five, very good. Hugging, very good. I hope they are only of lower grade children. Anybody else?
Higher class students, they are hesitating to read the lesson. So I asked them to read if they read and say thank you, your pronunciation. Ask them to pat themselves on the back and say.
Very good, very good. Next, anybody else?
They hesitate to clear their doubts also.
Hmm.
We are not sure we ask, they go to clarify them. So once they come up with their doubts and other things, we try to appreciate it. So that motivates other children to come up with their doubts.
How do you appreciate?
That's what. It may be, what to say, not like, we've already explained, but you would have asked the same.
Do you use any specific way to acknowledge?
No, it's good that you have clarified that out. So this is what we are expecting. We expect more from this because we handle higher classes.
Good. Anybody else would want to say, no, this is the way. You will have that. You feel like saying something, say it out. By giving chocolate. She has plenty of chocolates in her classroom. Please note. If anybody wants to use the resource, borrow. Then.
I used to give them some more responsibilities to handle the classroom.
Additional responsibilities for having done a very great job. Any other way of acknowledging, appreciating, motivating? All these are the behavioral concepts that go in a long way, for which I have to be creative. You understand? Even in acknowledging, now you have told me, it may be right or wrong in your own way. I can't say, no, you cannot do this. But you have experimented, you have gone to the extent of trying out something. What I intend to say is keep trying new things. There are so many ways to appreciate, even if I'm going to appreciate you with your own trait. And today the way you submitted your mark register was amazing. I can say verbally, I can say that in written to you, so that you possess that. As leaders, there can be many team leaders here, coordinators here. You motivate your team members. This is just what I am saying is just not for the student and the teacher. The peer, appreciate the peer for the work, for which you should share what you have done. Then you know something new has happened in the class. I would rather want a small corner in your soft board in your classrooms, and you can call it, hey, I did it. It need not be with reference to your teaching. It can be with reference to your beautiful cooking at home. I can teach so much through chakra pongal cooking, condensation, evaporation, the right ingredient, the proportion, the heat, the pressure, the flame, whether it's a blue flame or the yellow flame. So much to be taught in making a chakra pongal, but if I'm going to integrate all that and make that very interesting and sing a beautiful pongal song within my own classroom, that becomes a little wider learning for me. You bring in little dance, little music, little physics, little chemistry. Somebody has tried out something new, and these days the media are there to make you all that little prosy creators. Use the media. Help the child to use the media. I'll just show you how we have integrated some of the portions in teaching a very basic topic of flowers. I'll just run through the slide. Maybe the post-lunch session. Sorry, your break session. I'm still in the very fresh mood now. I can't help it. So creativity is something which is at the heart of the innovation. But it is very difficult to express your creativity. Konja kashtam. But only some of you answered, right? But you all would be doing it unknowingly, but you do not know how to express when it has to be evidently said. So also with the children. Sometimes they are creative, but we are unable to identify when their creativity should be expressed and how they should express. For this, there is a very beautiful research done by Harvard University. I keep telling this, it's an open website link. It's called Harvard's Project Zero activity. It's called Visible Thinking Routines. We call it as VTR. So I would just want to have one or two of those such visible thinking routines set so that you know that they are thinking creatively. Right? How many of you exclaim when somebody walks into the school in the morning with a nice dress? When somebody comes, it's a normal process amongst all of us here. You just walk in with a new sari, walk in, what do you expect? Somebody to compliment, somebody to exclaim.
I do.
I'm just connecting to what I'm going to do. I see, I wonder, then I connect to something. It is just not the sari, but then I have to connect. If I were wide enough to use my sari description to something, I will find out the brand, the state, the type of loom. So you get to know the types of varieties of your own saris available in your country, which otherwise I will fail to do. I will just look at it as another sari. No. If I have to be creative, I will know the typical yarn, the type, machine over, hand over. I can teach so much to my children on that day also. If they say, ma'am, your sari is very, especially the primary children, they have the habit of appreciating. And they have a passing remark, ma'am, you're looking very pretty, ma'am. All of you would have claimed that, they see, head is going from 360-degree rotation now, for all of that. Then that is the time you need to involve them in talking to them about how the handloom saris are woven and what is the status of the handloom weavers now. Bring in that little sensitivity. This can happen with the little higher grade children. You should do that in fact. When you are talking about social history, culture, the synthetic yarn, the animal product, the plant product, why can I not start with my own sari as a creative introduction in my class? Creativity chips in at every moment that you transact in the class for 30 minutes. But that will happen only once you start knowing what is happening in the class. Your mind should be agile and you should become reflective. Reflective is something what you start thinking about the experiences that you have out of some kind of an activity. You have to ponder on the experiences that you have had as a teacher, either as a KG teacher or as a middle school teacher or as a PT master or as an art teacher or as a music teacher. You have to ponder on the kind of experiences you have had. Only if you start pondering, you can make that culture transferred to the children. Children have to become reflective. They need to know, did I do this paper well? Did I do this answer correctly? Where did I go wrong? Why did I make a mistake? If I am going to train my children to this right from when they are young, don't think this can happen only at the middle school level or high school level. Please make this word, reflection is a must. You have to make them reflect. We ask them a very simple exit slip. Did you like the class? Yes or no. Why did you not like the class? The child will come out. Then you think, oh, maybe this was the need for the child. Then I did not satisfy the need of the child the way the child wanted it to. Even now I can see some people who are little not so alert here in the room. My eyes are going only to those teachers here. My mind is not allowing me to proceed further. Why? If I am going to investigate, then I will not take the workshop. But as a teacher, I should be looking at somebody who has a headache or who is not listening to me. This is called reflection as the session is on. All the others are attentive. But then I'm missing out on 2 people there. I'm not including them in my session. Why is it so? My sessions are not interesting, then what do? This is called reflection. As the session is on and you start maneuvering, it's like using the steering of your car. Don't think that all your classrooms are rigid to 30 minutes teaching. No. That is the ability you all should get as teachers. You should know something is happening. Okay, these group of children, I'll allocate some work. Let me go to them. It should not happen only once you give the group work that you go around and see what happens. No. I have to attack that immediately or keep quiet and call them little later and find out and give them the support. This is called being reflective. This is called being responsible and responsive to others. This builds in a lot of confidence in the children and in me. We all talk about inclusive education. All of you have heard of NEP, inclusive education. NEP, inclusive education. What is inclusive education? Even in a class of 30, in a normal behaviorally attributed classroom, if 2 of them are not listening, it is not an inclusive classroom for me. Everyone should be included. You feel even in a gathering, you go out in a wedding party, sometimes you find people who are little aloof and isolated. But then you would want everybody to be within. So also with an institution. You should have that feeling that you are coming and working for an institution and this belongs to me. That feeling should come from within. This is mine. This classroom is mine. Children should get that kind of a mood. I have to keep my workplace neat. Then the entire classroom is going to be neat. I become responsible. I become responsible as a teacher to maintain the discipline. There can be, it doesn't mean that they should not be talking, but then they should know how to use low decibels in the classroom. You tell them low decibels, they will also do that. If you're going to raise your voice and say, hey, don't shout, no one will listen. That is the variety, that is the creativity, and you attempt. Maybe you have never read a poem in the class. You want to read the daffodils one day. Listen to people who read. Enjoy the words given. The next day when you attempt to do something new, that is creativity. You are doing something new with new thought, new perception. Hey, that is creativity. Why am I always bringing this cooking? Because I'm very fond of that. Because you can relate that to very easily. Like we all say, you should know the objectives, you should know the aim, you should, all of you write lesson plan, right? Lesson plan. What do you write? For me, a lesson plan is a cheating plan. But I should have some structured way for which, even if I were on leave, it should help somebody who knows the subject to walk into the class with the plan and lead the class. That's the lesson plan. But some people write beautiful lesson plan. Class nothing will be there. Implementation zero. Who is responsible then? I am responsible for writing. I am responsible for implementation. I am responsible for assessing my own teaching. Getting a feedback from, I will say, you come and sit in my class and observe. Please make this a practice and culture, ma'am, in the school. This, I think, as a principal, wherever I have worked, I have made this as a culture that people should go freely and walk into the classes, observe, and you should be open to feedback, open to suggestions. You won't observe and you learn, and somebody comes to your class and they learn from you. This is again creativity. Then you start putting in new ideas into your teaching, and this is the little creativity that matters a lot to the child, that matters a lot to the parent, that matters a lot to the teachers. This is the main room. Even in your house, you reorganize things depending on your energy. That shows how much energy you have if you reorganize things in your house. Sometimes you get bored and then you feel, this arrangement looks nice and this is nice. Same thing, the thought processes in your mind. You start aligning it for betterment. You start aligning for understanding things better. If this is evidently happening in your children, that is creativity. Then how do I know that this is happening in a child? For which we'll have a small activity done, right? So we call it as visible thinking routine. There are plenty given in the site. I will even leave this slide with you. It's an open thing from Harvard University. You can try it out in your class and make it as a practice to instill that among the children. It's like how I said, I look at the sari somebody wears, I connect myself. Oh, this looks like this is from Hyderabad. This looks like from Odisha. This looks like from Jammu. See, I am able to relate to the state. I am able to relate to the uniqueness of our culture. You bring in so much factor into that. I look at that, I start wondering, I connect. Then I have few questions risen in that. Is it very authentic? Why are we then saying that we cannot amass wealth? We have so much of rich tradition, art, culture, the unbroken art, tradition and culture. How do we preserve this? Even in our education system, if you look at that, the ancient system of traditional education paradigm, it's so beautiful. But we fail to even look back and say we had all this. And now you give jargons, westernized jargons, and you say you have to do all this. Where you need to introspect, you need to reflect, you become responsible, you become creative, you become engaged, you become enthusiastic, you become very curious. And unless you develop these attributes as teachers, you cannot expect this to be transferred to your children. Because you are what? Because teachers are what? Teachers are what to the children?
Role models.
Not ROLL. It is ROLE. What is my role as a teacher? That's why I'm saying, they all, when they come for interview, they say, I'm very passionate about teaching. You derive the meaning for the word passion first. Evlo passionate or no, you become risk takers. This is going to be an utter failure, but then I go to the principal and say, ma'am, I want to do this for assessment this time. Please allow me to do. It's all internal. Up to grade 8, you can play through. Learn the systems. Now at the touch of the button, you have information. You gather information. You form a small group who are inclined to your sharing of views. It all starts with a small group. It can be with just 2 of you who share. You all play this activity. Think, pair and share. Think, pair, share. Lesson plan. Not so familiar, looks like? Yes. Then we'll do one. We'll start with think, pair, share. See, the first one, tired, but I'm still inspired. These are little colorings I enjoy doing. I made this as a very simple professional development session for my own teachers with visible thinking routines, right? So I said my art should be of help and I should be able to use this for some purpose. There that little creativity begins, but for all this, please remember, be a little enthusiastic, be a little curious. Not on the curiosity kills a cat. Wait on the curiosity. அப்படி இல்லைன்னா ஒரு நாள்லேருந்து வராதிங்க டீச்சர் வேலைக்கு. கியூரியஸாக இருக்க மாட்டீங்களா? ஒரு கிஃப்ட் வாங்கிட்டு வந்திருக்காங்க. You are very curious to open. And these days people even post that in the YouTube. Something has come in Amazon. Shall we see what there is in that packet? ஒன்றும் இல்லை, YouTubeல she puts that and you all sit and watch, even I watch. Because I have something to learn on expressions. You have to be expressive in life. If you are not expressive, children will also be like that. Life is full of expressions. I need to learn to express the right things at the right time, the way I have to express. So we wait, my way, my day. All of you have this elbow time for yourself. Please, as teachers, don't get bogged down with work always. ஒரு சின்ன elbow time வச்சுக்கோங்க. It called elbow time. தள்ளி விடணும். அப்படி தள்ளி விட்டீங்கன்னா உங்களுக்கு டைம் கிடைக்கும். Not that you are always rubbed, by people. Don't do that. That is the time when you reflect. I am again coming back to the word reflect. You reflect, you ponder. What what I did today, something better could have been done. It need not be related to your teaching in the class. It can be some attitudinal issues with the children, behavioral issues with the children, or with your own peer. You say, I have to maintain interpersonal relationship with all the other teachers. அதுக்கு ஒரு மார்க் உங்களுக்கு 10 மார்க் appraisal. பார்த்தா அந்த டீச்சர் சண்டையே போட்டுட்டு இருப்பாங்க. செல்ஃப் appraisal she will put 10 out of 10. What is that then? That openness. Hey, come on, I think you did something wrong there. This is called as a metacognitive situation in a classroom. And the classroom, I need to create an atmosphere like that. அதாவது தப்பு பண்ணினாலும் there is somebody to help me. The teachers won't ridicule me. My friends won't ridicule me. My friends won't bully me. Don't think teaching is just writing on the board and then that gets transacted into your brain. So many emotions happen in the classroom which goes unnoticed by the teacher. It's called the classroom management. There are issues coming up. Unless I know how to read, it's quite difficult to sort those. I tell teachers how to be the first counselors. Don't take them to the counselor. You are the counselor. You are the sculptor. You are the artist. You are the ring master. You are the orchestra, the one who runs the whole show. You have to have these feelings. Then how much responsible should I be, in improving my knowledge, understanding and skill? The world is moving ahead in leaps and bounds. The knowledge information that you get is in geometric proportion these days. How much should I be then leaping? I cannot take tiny steps now. Children are way ahead of us now. Then how should I be? Children are into PSLV launching. They were so rejected when it didn't work out now. Make the children see such clippings. Use that for your science class, the physics class, the momentum, the size, the control room, the way they collaborate and work, the scientists work. That is where your heart, your head and the hands come. Then it becomes a holistic education for me. If I am not going to involve all this, there's no point in taking up the teaching profession. Try to do all this the way you need to improvise, use your creativity to some extent, and you feel little confident doing all this. Ungalke confidence, hey, I tried this, it came out well, yes. Hey, I did this again, I'm coming to Chakra Pongal. It came out so well when I did. What lot of confidence you get. It can be one day about cooking, baking in the class. I teach them about fermentation, yeast. I don't have to have something in the syllabi code. That is how you start integrating the topics. So as teachers go through the entire content in the book to begin with. As a science teacher, maths teacher will go through all the contents. The English teacher will go through. Suppose if you have a group of grade 1 to 5 together, sit together and see how you can make them as small integrated components. These are small steps I'm giving you so that you narrow down on the periods that you take and the energy you invest, so the skills can be integrated easily. Every subject has a subject skill and there are general core skills available. So how do I do that? All this will come out of your own effort. Once you start doing it, it may be a little tough to begin with, but then you make that a culture of the school. It becomes a tradition of the school. You don't have to, you use a book as a resource. Not that verbatim I should take that book to the class and read. No. Sumati will agree on that because I've had many interactions with her. But then now with the experience, I feel I should be giving something more to help the youngsters to follow something that will make them smart workers, not hard workers. Please, as teachers, we become a smart worker. Right? Yeah? We go to this. Now I'll do one thing. This is 1 and this is 2. Okay? This group is 1, this group is 2. I'm not doing a choice. Generally, I have a game with 2 people and they select, ma'am, we'll go for 1, 2. Now this is 1. So we will see what is in 1. Okay? Look at that picture for a while. Your group will look at that picture for a while. Shall we open 2 also? And look at picture 2.
one of you will represent your team, okay? Individually, all of you would want to answer, I know, but you can play all this when you are in small groups or with the children. Use it for the purpose for which you are taking the class. This is again a generic example, but you can use similar ones to suit to the lesson, the topic that you choose. So group 1, let's see what that picture has to do with the visible thinking routine. This is called connect, extend and challenge. What do you call this thinking routine as? Connect, extend and challenge. Let's see what this connect, extend and challenge is all about. Read this. Can one of you read this loudly? Anybody with a good eyesight who can read loud?
How is the artwork or object connected to
No,
something?
madam.
From the beginning.
Yeah, from the
Connect, extend, challenge. A routine for drawing connections between new ideas and prior knowledge.
Give a pause. All of you read that quietly. That red line, read that quietly. Understood? Okay. Then go to the next one.
How is the artwork or object connected to something you know about?
Take a while to read quietly. Because again, the silent reading will make you understand the question. Next one now.
What new ideas or impressions do you have that extend your thinking in new directions?
Internalize the question. Internalize the second question. Third one, ma'am.
What's challenging or confusing? What do you wonder about?
Internalize the third question because I will be moving on to the next activity. All the members of group 1, please internalize the question. I know everyone is going to have a different answer, but I take it that one of you will answer all these questions as a group. Okay, can I go to the next one? This side. This is what I was talking about. Think, pair and share. Let's see what this activity is all about. One of you will read. One of you read the red line.
A routine for active reasoning and explanation.
Internalize is a routine for active learning and reasoning and explanation.
Think, pair, share involves posing a question to students, asking them to take a few minutes of thinking time, and then turning to a nearby student to share their thoughts.
Understood? This may look very simple, but it depends on what is the object you are using, what is the case study that you are using, what is the question that you have posed. It depends on the intensity of the topic, on the objective and the purpose for which you are using. I have just used casually an art, right? But then you can use it. I can still use this for my biology class, for my language class, I can use these two pictures for any of my classes. If only you start, mapping your mind to a wider extent, you can think. You cannot restrict this to maths alone. You cannot restrict this picture to science alone. You can relate it to any topic that you are doing in your class. So much of thinking processes has to happen, and you become very creative in using the same picture in a different context, where it saves on searching out for a picture even for you. You don't have to be on the lookout for a picture. That's why resources should be kept in such a way that you can use the same resources for multifarious activities. I don't know whether you have a good resource room in your school. If the resources are being made by the teachers, try to preserve them and try to share how these same resources can be used in different ways. Now we come to the answers. Have you all thought of the answers for the first picture? Anybody who is little confident, I can try. For the first picture, connect, extend and challenge. This is an activity to say how you connect your existing knowledge, the new one, to the prior knowledge. And then beyond that, what is it that is challenging for you? The words are very simple. I connect,
I extend. With my prior knowledge, I connect my thoughts to something new. And then I have framed a new idea. Beyond that, I still have some wonderment. Beyond that, I still have challenging questions. So looking at this picture, you can say anything what is not related to any subject now, but you can use this for a subject also. Any abstract visualization, I can use this in a poem even. I can talk about the butterflies, I can talk about the peacock.
Which season?
Anybody would want to answer all the three questions together in a very coherent way, where you connect, you extend and challenge. Anybody would want to try from this group can do so. You want to go through the questions for a second? Yes? Now time over, we go to the picture back. Come on. You need to stick on to the timings also. Anybody? Whatever comes to your mind with your prior knowledge. Who is spending? That lady. Oh. Oh. Hmm. Then any one of you answer all the three questions. Then we'll go to the next person. Huh? Louder, ma'am.
She's enjoying the nature's beauty.
Okay. How are you extending your knowledge with the picture?
Instead of sitting in front of the TV or wasting time with that, they want to spend time with nature.
Okay. Okay, fine. Then
And we can ask the children also to do the same instead of playing all the time or being inside the class. Instead of being inside the house, they can go out and enjoy nature's beauty.
then what is it that is challenging for you in this picture? Ah. Hmm. So you have many questions unanswered. What is it all about? Is she catching something? Is she posing for a picture? Ambiguity is there. You are curious to know what is it all about. Why is she decked up like that? Even everyone will have a different answer, but you have to bring it down to a common thought that you have in mind as a teacher. You understand? But this is how you have to set them. The thinking pattern should be like that. I see something, I start connecting to that picture with my prior knowledge, I conclude on something, but then I still have some questions unanswered in that. See, this may be a little too varied and generic for me. But if I were to describe this about a small hymn or a mythological poem on Radha or Krishna, right? I'm just giving an example, right? With Gokulashtami celebrated yesterday, I say, why is it not Krishna Radha and it's always Radhe Krishna? I pose a question. Why do you say not Krishna Radha and say Radhe Krishna? See, I'm not becoming religious here, but I'm just giving you an example. I presume she is Radha, okay? She's a lady. To me, I presume her to be Radha. And she is now playing with the peacock, and some are so friendly with her. Can the peacocks be so friendly? And then I start realizing on connecting to learning about peacock. Peacock have beautiful feathers. Then is it the male peacock or the female peacock? How about the butterflies there? How about the trees there? The hillock there? I start connecting myself to nature like how she said. I build on the conversation on nature. Why is it so important to have that harmonious relationship in nature with all the existence? Here you find a harmony existing with the birds, with the small animals. Do we find such a situation now? You have to start provoking their thought process, and some of the questions are unanswered. Like, I want to get an answer. Why don't we have such a harmonious scene that we encounter in nature? It's not happening. Why? You start making them think and get the answer. So it's how you start using these. You help the child to think in a particular fashion. Then the child will start showing that he is using his mind creatively. Because it's very hard to see when they are using their creativity. Except the artwork, other times it becomes a little difficult. This can happen in my English class, a language class, a maths class. I can say, count the numbers. Do you think they have 2 feet, 1 feet? Or how do you think that she has kept the hands at what angle? For example, a maths teacher. If I were a physics teacher, biology teacher, I will still say, why do you think that the hands are so comfortable? You talk about the hinge joint. I can introduce anything with the creativity. It's a small introduction about the bone joint, about the poses. A dance teacher will use this for a pose. A music teacher will use this as an expression. Why not as a science teacher and a maths teacher? You design a maths, even a musical mathematical table. 1 and 2, 3 peacocks. Why can't I do that? That is creativity. So the child will start thinking, oh, I can sing a song, I can write, I can do this. But beyond that, I also teach them the fact of this picture that I'm using in the class. Then some people are inclined to learn music, some children are inclined to learn, doing something with the hand, which we call as kinesthetic. So all the needs have to be identified. So good attempt by this team, but everyone has a different answer. But you need to use this kind of a pattern as a connecting challenges that the child has, and then the interpretations. You can show a building collapsing, a picture of a building that, ask them to watch the news. Recently you saw a building in Mumbai that collapsed. Ask them, show them what it has got to do. Why did the building collapse? What would have happened to the people inside? To avoid these things, what can one do? It is a challenging question that remains unanswered. Why did it happen? Some children will answer, some may not answer. But I am bringing in the concept of the stability of a building, then the number of years the building has been in place, and what was neglected, what was ignored, what was so scary for the people living in the flat. It's all about your chemistry, your physics, the cement, the jelly. You can talk so many things about the picture, the construction. Many children are interested in trucks and seeing the poklane, and many have an inclination. So you need to have such resources, but make them think in a different pattern for different people. And the next one here, this is called the coffee time. This is the coffee time, elbow time. Then we'll have a break for 10 minutes. Then we come to the creativity, the main topic. Coffee time is my time, where you have an exclusive time. Maintain a reflective log. Maintain a reflective log, a journal of what you did the best in the class, what went wrong in the class, why did it go wrong, who do I approach, how do I tackle this. You become a better teacher tomorrow. This is called reflection in the lesson plan itself. Still, people are guided to reflect and write. She will agree with me, even with teachers with 25 years, 30 years of experience, find it difficult to reflect on what had happened the whole day and write in the lesson plan that they submit to the head. I have to be open in saying this happened in my class. It can help children in many ways. It can help you to learn something new. You start, upskilling your, that's what I said, the knowledge, understanding, skill will come only when you do, you apply, you review, you evaluate, and you replan. எப்போதுமே ஒன்று பண்ணணும், பண்ணி முடிச்சு அது எப்படி நடந்ததுங்கிறத கொஞ்சம் அசைப்படணும். We call this ruminants. Science teachers will agree with me. You regurgitate what happened, ruminant. இதே ஹேபிட்டை பசங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கணும். You give them the recall time, the retention time. They regurgitate on what had happened. They then evaluate. இது சரியா, இது தப்பா. You do that in the assessment, right? Then you evaluate your own teaching. Why didn't many answer in my class? I have to find an answer. Was it too difficult? Should I change my method? Should I ask what was difficult for the child? The children will also say, why I did not understand this. Probably the teacher was unable to explain me, or I had missed the earlier connections of the classes. So you find out a connectivity where you can help the child out in bringing connections. So maintain a reflective log. It's just not for smelling and having your coffee, but then you enjoy, just not on teaching, but on your entire, the day you have spent with so many people, even at home for that matter. The relationships that you maintain, which are more important. Institution is a family. Will you all agree? You spend most of the time in the school, right? This is my family. You will have differences of opinion. You will have, but then I should be able to debate. I should be able to, that difference of opinion should be over the issue and not over an individual. Next day, no, I will not do. This coordinator was so rude with me yesterday. And coordinator will realize, why was I so rude? That is the reflection to be done by the coordinator. You can even say, you could have said that. I don't know how many of you observe the classes and give the feedback. You have to tell them. And when I observe her class, we both have to come to a consensus. She has to say, ma'am, I am not good at this. Will you help me in doing this? Then I go for 5 consecutive periods to observe with her and see that at one point she says, ma'am, I think now I have got the skill of posing questions in the class. That is observation. Why am I saying this? Because there are, as I told you, guide leaders, coordinators here who should know the trend to agree. Both of you as an observer and an observer should be able to say that I do not know this, help me out. I should not go and find fault with the teaching. No. I can never be a leader. I can never be a teacher who can help. The teacher is doing exceedingly well. I will go and share this to another teacher in the class who is struggling. Why don't you go and see? What is your name, ma'am? Vijayalakshmi. I will say go and observe Vijayalakshmi's class. How calm she is, how composed she is. But she handles the class so well. Some people will bring the roof down, cannot control the class. The same children will sit quietly in some other teacher's class. Why? Observe, learn. Somewhere I am lacking something. Don't blame on the children. Don't blame on the textbook. We have to reflect on our own teaching and we have to correct ourselves, and the next day the children see the change in you. They also become a sea changer in your life. Okay? Coffee time. Come on. Think, pair and share. Very simple question, as I told you, but it can be a very thought-provoking question. A very sensitive question, sensitive issue. I think about it. You all have this, mock United Nations, all these, the latest world, the issues are taken, and the delegates as students, how do we train them? The critical issues, the territoriality, sensitive issue, the Ukraine, the Russia. I need to gather facts. I need to talk to her on those. It's just not think pressure. Edo onnu game panne, you have to fold this, say something, this is a sun. No, that is not the activity. I need to use my thought processes that I think something worthwhile. I share my learning to her. She shares her learning to me. Then it becomes a synergy for me. Building on top of the other. This is called constructivism. Learning la constructivism. ஒன்று மேலே ஒன்று தான் கொண்டு போகணும். இங்கேருந்து அங்கே போக முடியாது. But then you gather information from everyone, try to assimilate it and build it into a beautiful castle the way you have understood. Not because there is another beautiful castle beside you. No. You have to learn to build your own castle. Come on.
Who would volunteer? Something you can, one hint I am giving, you can even talk about the coffee beans in this. Just not telling that this lady is dressed beautifully, she's drinking, I don't want that. I am giving you a clue on even the hairstyle, why not? Grooming. Grooming is a soft skill. Presentable. How do you hold a cup? How do you hold a saucer? Small etiquettes. It depends on what you want to teach the child. You understand?
How to make a coffee. How to make coffee.
How to make a coffee. Tell me one answer. With the coffee seeds.
Comparing with when I had this
She has never had. From today she will find time to relax. See, your thought processes are through your experiences. But I have to give a situation to this. I can't say at random you imagine. It goes haywire. There's no purpose. I have to give a situation. I have to use this for a purpose. I am giving you a clue as a coffee seed.
Production of coffee. Production of coffee. The
Flavors of coffee.
season where season coffee is
Take care of
the finish
your senses. Aroma is a very high-paying job, whether it is a perfume or a coffee or a wine. They are high-end paying jobs. So if you develop a sense of smell and couple it with the taste, which the cup is holding, you can make out a fabulous living for you.
He says aromatherapy.
Yeah.
You can relate it to the avenues that are available. Like somebody said nature. Instead of watching, I will make them observe nature and enjoy the small nuances. You teach them how to even appreciate the blooming of flowers. Here, huh? Coffee plantation, the geographical location, the brewery, to what extent it is brewed, and what are the types of coffee seeds available, the origin of coffee, is it good or bad to have, we can have a debate, addiction, what is the hormone that is secreted, how does it motivate you, when you have a headache, why do you feel you want to have a hot cup of coffee, what does it do as a stimulant, it's a science, what is the stimulus and what is the response, how does it affect the nerve cells, endless. But it depends on the purpose for which you use, either in the lighter sense or in a very, very sensitive sense, right? So make them think that way, and I will once again show the question. Don't just say you will now do this activity and share what you learned. No, put the questions. Posing questions to the students, asking them to take a few minutes of thinking time, then turning to a nearby student. What you do here is, as a teacher, you take the hold of posing questions to begin with. Later on, train them to pose the questions as they become little elderly. Give them the scenario. They should also be taught how to pose questions. Questioning is one of the beautiful skills for building up your creativity. இல்லைன்னா வராது. Question கேட்கலன்னா லைஃபே இல்லை. Socrates மாதிரி question கேட்கணும். Okay, shall we break for coffee now? Anybody would want some activity? Movement வேணுமா வேணாமா? Some teachers are saying no. Love to. No, let me not play that now. It's really at the end of the fag end of the day. So we'll just get into little talk on how to integrate some learning, and then we'll finish off the session. Thank you for sitting patiently till now. I'll finish off by 4:10 promptly. Right? Thank you so much.